Hi, Dr. Minkoff, LifeWorks Wellness Center. I'm smiling, but I want to talk about something kind of serious. You've probably seen a person with Parkinson's. It sort of starts with their arm shakes when they're not moving. See, hand, just like this, or like this. And then they have trouble walking. They might stand up, and in order to get themselves going, they kind of have to lean forward to get themselves moving. And then sometimes what you see is their whole face becomes frozen. They look like their whole face is a mask. And this is a degeneration of an area in the brain. It's actually a very small area in the brain that has to do with controlling motor movements. So if you think of it, in order to move my finger up, something has to let go of pulling it down and pull it up. And if it's going to be smooth, it has to be coordinated very carefully so that this is a smooth movement, or if I want to snap my fingers, or if I want to go like this. These are very complicated things. You know, like to get an artificial intelligence computer to go like this, it is very, very complicated, okay? And we take it for granted, but there's an area in the brain, and that brain area mostly produces a neurotransmitter. So this is a messenger molecule that's called dopamine. And these cells in this area of the brain, it's called the substantia nigra, get attacked by the person's own immune system, plus toxins, lead, mercury, arsenic, sometimes infections. Where those cells start to die, they can't produce dopamine. And without enough dopamine, you get these movements where the person can't really function very well. Now, there are medications given to people with Parkinson's disease which add dopamine to the system, and those can be helpful. Unfortunately, within 3 to 5 years for most patients, the drugs stop working, and then the patients start to deteriorate, so it's very difficult for them to function. It's often accompanied by depression. It becomes a very devastating and life-threatening and life-ending condition. Now, I had an engineer that came in here who had come to the point where the dopamine drugs that his neurologist was giving him weren't working anymore. And his neurologist said, I really can't help you much more because when the drugs don't work anymore, we're sort of out of gas. So he came to me at that point. When I first saw him, he had a face that really was like a steel mask, like he had no facial expression. And I remember sitting across from him, talking to him, and I actually thought that when I was talking to him, that he actually just hated my guts because it was just like a cold stare. Now, he's an engineer, and I love having patients who are engineers because they're very logical and they understand information and they understand how information could logically be put together. And after I talked to him about, look, here's what we do to try to unwind this Parkinson's disease that's in you. And he was tracking with me. So we started doing things on him to remove heavy metals and viruses and parasites. We found that he had a couple of root canal teeth that were producing severe toxins in his mouth that were affecting his brain. So we sent him to the dentist. We had his mouth all cleaned up. And over about 4 or 5 months, he started to actually get better. And one day he was sitting in my office with me for a visit, and his wife was sitting next to me, and I could actually see facial expressions, and he was smiling at me. And I said to his wife, do you see this? I mean, can you see this? He is now alive. Like he's real. He's like a human. And she said, I know. I've got my gym back. He was then walking 2 miles a day. When he came in here, he could hardly shuffle. And he had an incredible improvement. And he's still going. He's like 4 years later right now. He's doing great. He's still on his Parkinson's medicines. But all the rest of this stuff cleaned up his nervous system, and he really has a full life back. And he wasn't that old. I think he was 62 when he came in. I think he's 66 now or 67. And he's still working, and he's functioning, and Jim is back. So this is a condition that can often be helped, like we've seen lots of these patients. And I wouldn't wait until the drugs don't work anymore. I would say the first sign of this, come in, get the analysis that we do, which is a very detailed analysis of things that are in your body that actually shouldn't be there and things that we need to put there that aren't there, and then go through some of the therapies. And there's a very good chance that you can get the condition to improve so that you can live out your life and not end up kind of in a sort of a vegetable state if you have Parkinson's. Okay? Hope this helps.